Hi, folks. Thank you for joining us after the premiere of episode 298. I appreciate you being here. And I see we've already been joined by quite a few. So I am just making some things happen here. Just okay. So, so let's talk about this premiere. What did you guys think? What struck you about this story? Was there anything that jumped out at you? One thing that stood out to me was that there was a little bit of justice. There was some action on the part of law enforcement that seemed better than typical. That at least as far as how typical goes in the stories that we put in our series, we don't we don't turn anyone away, but it does kind of take a particularly special kind of person to want to share the story, to want to do do something that helps increase awareness, helps spread the word. So I wonder, are there any fentanyl fathers people? I just came out of a meeting with fentanyl fathers folks a few minutes ago, or a few minutes before the premiere began, and so I thought I would check and see if any of you guys are here. If you are watching, hey Brad, good to see you, Brad. You got to come to Houston. Anyway, I was starting to ask, is there any of the people that were in that meeting were you able to join us? And I wanted to let you know. So if you're watching this on your TV, which YouTube says about 40% of our users typically do, you can still watch it on your phone as well and use your phone to type in your messages for the chat. So there is a way to engage in the chat even if you're watching it on your TV. Of course, it means you got to sort of have it going twice. Rub some dock around and yeah, I don't know how to yeah, I don't know how to even react to that. Rub some dock around it, but thank you for being here. I don't remember seeing that name before. I think I would remember that name. And so welcome. Thank you for joining us. What's the latest with the hoodies with zippers? Yeah, no new progress. There's only the one, and it's mine. Hello, Anne. Thank you for joining us. And there is Brad, and I bet we see Brenda sometime soon. So anyway, that's the way to engage in the chat if you're watching this on a TV. You can use your phone to chat while still watching me on a TV on your smart TV. And and then you can participate in the chat if you want to. Sheila says, I don't think we're going to get any justice from my son's death here on earth. It's in God's hands, and I have to forgive those people involved in his death. Brenda had to grab a Diet Coke. Yeah. Yeah. Well, you didn't miss much, Brenda. You can scroll back through it. I didn't do anything spectacular, have any brilliant insights or anything like that. we're just getting things rolling here. Let's see. So, Sheila, there is a lot of stories in our fentanyl series where the families do not get any sort of justice. And no, there's not. No, obviously, justice won't change anything as far as being as far as having lost your loved one, but it does do something. It does something. It has a healing characteristic that I see when I get to hear a family talk about getting some kind of justice, and I feel like what that does for them is it gives them a sense that their loved one mattered to the world, not just to them, and that there's some comfort in that, and that their terrible loss took a killer off the street, took a danger off the street, so that his loss is saving other lives. It's not really a consolation, but it's something. Tamara is here. She couldn't figure out how to comment. Tamara, maybe. Sorry. Thank you very much, Tamara, for sharing your story. So, folks, this is Tamara, the storyteller, and uh, I thought she did a really great job. So, does anyone have any questions for Tamara about the story? I don't know if you've been here the whole time, Tamara, but I was talking about how getting a bit of justice means something, and because we in the majority of our stories there is no justice. There is no a lot in a lot of our stories. The storytellers account of how law enforcement treats them and treats their loved one's case is, I suppose, the right term for it would be disappointing. How about how about that? Disappointing. Our next court date is on January 20th. Yeah, I don't understand how that January, that's almost January 20th is almost 3 months away. How does that how does that fit with the constitutional guarantee of a speedy trial? Sheila says, Tamara, dear mom, may God continue to strengthen and bless your family moving forward. There is one, Tamara. I don't know if you've been in any of these before. Sorry, I don't know if you've been in any of these before, but there's a group of people who are typically part of the chat who are a great network of uh, support and love. That the way everyone helps each other here is very cool. Yeah, yeah. There's no day limit on it, and I feel like the longer you put things off, I kind of suspect that maybe there's some sort of money incentive in that for lawyers. It's just a just a thought. I mean, I could be wrong, but I don't get why that long. As I see it frequently. Judges taking off midday and they're done for the day. So they have a time off reward for granting extensions that are out there. Uh, I don't know. Hello, Deb. Thank you for being here. Do you look like a new name also? I believe they put it off to get people to forget and not be as passionate. So the defense has a motive for that, but not the prosecution. Brenda says, Tamara, I want to let you know that Brandon's journey helped me tremendously today. I'm just over a year clean of illicit fentanyl. I was struggling earlier due to a health scare. Then I saw a video. Tamara says she thinks that they want him to change his plea to guilty. And that's certainly a possibility. It's some sort of uh, a way to manage the accused's thought process, decision making process. So that's certainly a possibility. I'm sorry. I thought I was. It's okay. Never mind. Dad, you're the other storyteller, right? Thank you for joining us. I appreciate you. Appreciate you being here very much. So it seems like we have a few new people in the room. Does anyone in the room have questions for me or questions about our channel or about our series? Anything like that? Deb says, "Yeah, yeah." Well, thank you for being here. What were your thoughts? I didn't really get any feedback from you. I heard from Tamara, but not you. What were your thoughts on the story? How do you think it came out? Taskmaster. I feel like it's been a while since we've seen you in one of these. One person will change paths, maybe more. You're saving lives. Bless you. What an important message that is. That our stories, uh, Deb says, I cried watching it. Well, I'm sure. Well, thank you for sharing. So I'm just going to check, have a look at where the story is at right now. And so far, it looks like it has had almost 400 views so far. Almost 400 people in about 45 minutes. You're killing me, Brad. Deb says, thank you for sharing Brandon's story and all the stories you share. Thank you. I feel so incredibly privileged to get to do this kind of content, to do something that reaches people and helps people and contributes in some kind of way. Brenda says, Tamara, I will stay strong. I am sure Glenn doesn't want to save my life twice. Gosh, Brenda. Brandon reminded me of my brother. When he was rejected by the army, his whole world went to pieces. You are such a strong mom. You are. I'm sure there is the strength by circumstance thing. You become strong because you have to. That you rise to the challenge that you're facing because you don't really have a choice. There's there's a lot of there's a lot of folks out there who identify Abraham Lincoln as one of the greatest presidents this country has ever had. And maybe certainly extremely impressive. But a lot of that was circumstance. He had to. Tamara says, I saved my lifesavers. He gave me Glenn. They're sitting in front of one of Brandon's photos. The lifesavers are kind of brilliant, aren't they? I, I don't I don't have any right here with me right now. I think must have gotten eaten or something. But yeah, that role of lifesavers is awesome. Don Brooks says, Brenda, I think the type of person Glenn is, he would save any of our lives if he could. Oh, y'all cut it out. Oh, you're killing me. Thank you very much. Thank you, Don. That touches me. Taskmaster says, Tamara, that's so awesome. Talking about the lifesavers. And that's really a thing. I mean, Brandon is saving lives. Not just because of what we do here on our channel. Most of our a lot of our viewers are definitely preaching to the choir that a lot of the viewers that we have are viewers that have watched a lot of our stories and know the warnings, but we're always getting lots of new viewers as well. And aside from that, everything else you do, every time there's a news report about the trial or some sort of news report about something you're doing, or whatever it is that you do. If you're involved in a awareness group or anything like that, all of those things empower Brandon to save more lives too. And I think you have to look at that like that. You have to recognize that you know, that value came from his terrible loss. Glenn, is Brandon's story the first one to bring up xylazine? I don't think so. We have we have one story that I can remember that brings up carfentanil, and I feel like there's been references to xylazines to, to xylazine in some of our stories, but not many. Yeah, Brad. Thank you, Brad. Thank you. Taskmaster says we've not heard of xylazine. Yeah, you don't hear much about it. There's a school of thought is that is going to xylazine, carfentanil, and something else are going to be the next wave. At some point, fentanyl is going to go away. It's going to go away the way Quaaludes did. But then there'll be a replacement, just like it is, just like there's a replacement. There was a replacement for Quaaludes. Yes, it is. It's an animal tranquilizer, and and this doesn't work on it. So there's that. Hello, Carla. Thank you for joining us, and thank you for sharing that wonderful little message about the name Glenn. So thanks. Uh, but the xylazine thing, I think, brings up an important point because we don't know what's going to be next, but you can count on there being a next thing. Now there's Quaaludes and speed and heroin and cocaine and each of those kind of went through a cycle where they're very popular and then faded away, and then as something else came along that replaced meth, and and so to think that the cycle is going to stop at fentanyl isn't really realistic unless at some point we get the demand under control, because it's all driven by demand. If there wasn't a demand, if there wasn't money in it, it wouldn't be a thing. It wouldn't be people talk about how it's coming into the country. Eh, Yeah, because people in the country are buying it because there's money in it. And it's not just coming in the country, it's being made right here domestically as well. There are states are enacting laws that make pill presses illegal. And there's a reason for that. It's because there's pill presses in the United States that people are using to make counterfeits. Tums, Tums, your name is Tums. Tums. Well, maybe we should talk about your diet. What kind of things you like to eat? Sorry. So Tom says there will be a next. I think test strips are the only answer after dissolving the pills in water, in my humble opinion. Yeah, here's the the problem I see with test strips, and I've used them. We used them. We bought a pill from a pharmacy in Mexico and used, and we've done this a couple of times, and we've used test strips to test the pill. And and so the problem with test strips is to do the test, you have to limit the way the pill can be used. To perform a test with a test strip, you have to crush the pill up, dissolve it in sorry, dissolve it in water, and then submerge the test strip in the water, and then let it sit there and watch for the red indicator marks to come up. Well, now you've crushed up the pill and dissolved it in water. So some of the ways of using it are are lost. If you dissolve it in water, you can't snort it. You can't. You have to. All that's left is for you to drink it, and that doesn't give that same fast reward. So Taskmaster says one thing that makes me so sad is the way people think of these poisonings as just another overdose. Yeah. This is no different than many of us smoking weed or snorting some mystery powder, but now they die. Yeah. Brenda says, Kimberly, I'm so sorry. I've been busy playing catch up and trying and typing about carfentanil and xylazine, which I think all need to be aware of in addition to fentanyl. Naloxone will not reverse xylazine. That's correct. It has no effect. And one of the practices is mixing xylazine and fentanyl because the high from fentanyl is short and mixing xylazine with it prolongs the high. Yeah, that's how it's been explained to me by the DEA. So if that doesn't sound accurate, let me know. Brad says, I'm surprised we don't hear more about meth. You see those people, those before and after pictures, it's devastating. Yeah. The book series Faces of Meth. I don't know if it's a book series or one or two, but it's powerful and creative thinking and delivers an important message. Tash says, I think people are starting to understand the difference between poisoning and overdoses. And I certainly hope so. There's a challenge to that. There's a stigma involved in losing a child to illicit drugs, overdose, poisoning, whatever. And so there is a resistance, a hesitance to discuss it enough to get down to whether it's really a poisoning or an overdose. Cameron says, I've since found out that the dealer and supplier were working on Twitter. How scary is that? I wish I could sue Elon Musk. Yeah, it's a scary thing. It's one of those byproducts of having so much social media options. And no, the thing about controlling social media content, that gets tough because I wouldn't like something I posted being restricted or limited because someone else thinks it's bad. Though a few people have tried to do that. Kimberly says I have up and down today, like good and bad days. And uh, Sheila says I agree 100% with you, Glenn, because addict drug abusers are not going to test with the strips first. Maybe others who are buying pills for physical pain will test first. That's the thing. You're doing the test. When you're done, you have your fix dissolved in water. So you can drink it, and that's about it. There are some other testing options that are being developed. One involves just rubbing the pill on something like a test strip, and that seems scary to me because that's not getting to the inside. Brenda says, Tash, geez, if you had told me that 425 days ago, I wouldn't have had to quit using illicit fentanyl. Task, what? Non laughable? What? Task, you're going to get me in trouble. No more jokes about drugs. We will get put in timeout. Yeah, it could happen. It could happen. I can do that. I have that kind of power. Is that crazy? Uh, isn't it kind of crazy that I have the power and I've been talking so much, my coffee's getting cold. Yes, this is a coffee mug on the Texas Picture store. And it is a special coffee mug. It's expensive. It's like 16, $17 or something. But it is self cleaning. I drink black coffee out of this all day. And it doesn't show any dirt at all. That's amazing. And it hasn't for months, even though it's never been washed. Yes, I understand how you feel, Kimberly. It is tragic. And it seems to just keep happening. Taskmaster says she said she tried using test strips and the results were laughable. Oh, okay. I understand. Sorry. I was behind. Some comments get past me because I'm focused somewhere else. YouTube jail isn't as bad as county lockup. All right, probably not, but yeah, I don't want to. I don't want to learn more about either one. Yes, Taskmaster, the magic mug, and the way to get the magic mug is if you go to our website. There is a link on the homepage that'll take you to our merchandise store, and you can find that and T-shirts and hoodies. No zip up hoodies, just pullover hoodies and other stuff. Sorry, yes, Carla, it is self cleaning as long as you just stick to black coffee. I drink mushroom coffee and it doesn't stain the cups. Well, see, my coffee doesn't stain the cup either. It's kind of the same logic as wearing black underwear, I guess. So, but back to fentanyl, xylazine, and whatever's next. That is a good point, Brenda. We'll get to that in a minute. So that's whatever's next. There's I have a question for you guys. Is we have a few topics that we're exploring now. We have the fentanyl series is certainly the big one, but we also have a series about cannabis induced psychosis and another one about human trafficking and another one about domestic violence and another one about addiction recovery. And we have one called American Peace Officer that humanizes law enforcement. So, can you guys think of stuff that might be missing that should be on our channel but isn't? Love to hear about it. Brenda says, speaking of incarceration, did everyone see the episode yesterday offering help to parents with children in prison? Yeah, sure, Brad. Brenda, the episode that Brenda's talking about, I'm not sure how to pronounce the name of the organization, but it is a organization where parents who have loved ones that are incarcerated kind of get together uh, in person or virtually and support each other. They're there for each other. Maybe kind of like this, even. And so I have this thing going on. I just gotta. Tamara says the root issue in most cases is mental health issues. Our country has terrible mental health treatment unless you have loads of money to pay out of pocket. Yeah, the mental health thing is such an elusive kind of challenge because it it doesn't appear outwardly typically. mental health issue. The symptoms are about how someone feels, and so I don't know what that ding was, but I know I heard a ding. Well, I like your idea, Carla. We've talked about that before. I've talked with different storytellers, and I think that would be a great idea. I think. Are you volunteering? You want to go first? So I really I do like it. I also thought about doing something kind of like these live events, except have three moms on with me. You know, in a four, one, two, three, four window kind of arrangement where I'm in one window, and the other three windows are storytellers who have shared their story with us and could call the series could call the event Three Angry Moms and focus on a specific topic that's common to all three of them and probably many others, like experiences with law enforcement or some sort of flag that happened early on that that didn't register, something like that. And Deb says the point being there's no help with xylazine in the pill. They can't be saved. So it is still dependent on the dose, how badly corrupt the pill is. And so don't don't give up on helping, but it xylazine really screws things up because naloxone doesn't work. And for those of you who are wondering what naloxone is, that's this. It says Narcan on it, but that's just a brand name. Naloxone is the drug. And if you look at the box underneath the word Narcan, it says naloxone HCI nasal spray, 4 milligrams. And there's a lot of other products out there that are exactly the same that don't say Narcan, but do say naloxone. So there's my little spiel about that. Those of you who are with us often probably know that by heart. But anyway, Tamara says also, I found out in federal prison you get a free 9 month intensive rehab program and special privileges. So if my son had committed a federal crime, he would have gotten better rehab help. Wow. Well, I don't know how to make that make sense, but I suspect someone who is been through rehab is an easier kind of prisoner to manage. So there's that, but probably the bigger thing is that some rehab facilities sorted out a way to get the state to pay for the service and that's how it happened. Mm. Huh, and yeah, I, I'm sorry, I just get confused about some of the stuff that's going on over here. Dawn says that would be a great idea, Glenn. The three angry moms thing. I think it could be. I think it could be pretty impactful. Just three moms and me as the referee or something. Not that they would fight with each other, but they would likely be angry. Brenda Miller says, Tamara, there is no way to make sense of the federal rehab system. I know many state corrections are now pushing inmates to get on maintenance meds such as methadone, which is crazy to me. I kind of my initial thought. I don't have any facts to go with it, but my initial thought is they just want their prisoners to be manageable. It seems like that would be the priority. That would be what's most important is just keeping the peace. And I can tell you that we spent it was over a year ago, a year and a half ago or so now. We spent a couple of days interviewing a former White House drug czar named Bob DuPont. Brilliant guy. He was the second White House drug czar. He was under Nixon and Ford. And so what that means is he is old. But what that also means is he has seen a lot. He's worked in addiction and recovery and drug abuse for over 50 years. He's sharp. And he has these great insights. And he talks about his research with using methadone and and how he believes that it is effective. Petra Petra Delmeyer. Glenn, did you take fentanyl? No, no, and I haven't lost a family member to fentanyl either, and I don't want to. I have I have grandkids. That would just screw me up terribly. John, I love the idea of asking the moms what is working, what didn't work. You and Carla are two sharp cookies. Well, yeah, they are. They certainly are. Where am I? So no, I did not. I have not taken fentanyl. I have not had a substance use disorder with anything other than coffee. I suppose we all have our demons. We all have things that we have to sort out on our own, and but I believe that if you have the ability and the resources to do something that contributes, it is a sin not to. And I feel very, very grateful, very privileged to get to do this kind of content where I meet so many wonderful, wonderful people who want to share their story about losing a loved one to fentanyl, or about cannabis induced psychosis, or about human trafficking, or domestic violence, or addiction recovery, or anything else that is a story that matters. We've never turned anyone away. Ladybug West says xylazine is reversible. Reversible. What is that? You got to expand on that. It is. It is reversible, like uh, with yohibine. Yeah. I'll just try to say it, but I'll give up quick. Carlos says, "You're right, Dad. I'm not any better. I don't think time heals at all. All that time is a painful reminder that I'll never see my daughter on this side of heaven." So, Ladybug, it's a reversal agent. Well, that's cool. It would be awesome if you could, I don't know, email me a link or something. But I don't think that YouTube lets anybody but me post links in here because I don't know. I'm special. I'm high commander here. But if you could email it to me, info at texas-pictures.com. I would love to see it. It's a horse drug. Well, that Deb says no human antidote. There is currently no FDA approved reversal agent for xylazine for use on humans. Okay, then. Now we're getting some debate going here. Cool. Okay. Okay then. So, but here's the big thing. We're not talking about killing horses. No, there you go, Tamara. That's for sure. But the big thing to really get this problem under control is doing something about the demand. Until the demand's under control, it's just going to be one drug after another, and each one of those drugs is going to be worse than the one that it pushes out or the one that it replaces. Is at the DEA headquarters in Washington D.C., where they have that all of those fentanyl. I don't know if y'all heard that, but sorry. So anyway, so what I was saying, back to what I was saying. the demand. And I'm not saying throw users in prison. Address what motivates people to use. Not all users have an issue with some sort of mental illness or trauma. For some, they do it because their friends are doing it and they seem to be having a good time. So it seems fun. Sorry. Okay, so Carlos says time can help when you lose a parent or grandparent, maybe even a friend, but losing a child is against the natural order of things. Every day is a reminder of what is gone and what will never be. Carla, I never know what to say to that, but I am here for you, and the whole group is here for you too, and and your dad and your family. Okay, so there is a definite logic to Ladybug West. So people are taking a horse drug, which is not approved for use in people. So why not give them the horse reversal drug too? I feel like there had to be some talk about doing that, wouldn't you think? And Deb says they don't know they're taking it most of the time. That's reasonable, yeah. They don't know, but there are still many people out there who take it knowingly as well. Found my son. Dawn says, Carla, I'm with you. I found my son Mother Day morning 2020, and I feel like a lot of days are worse for what could have been, and now it's not. Taskmaster says, yes, Carla, I never had anxiety when I was younger, but now it's bad. It's easy for people to reach out for a chemical answer when they're desperate. Yeah, it's a form of escape from what I've been told from some of the people in recovery that I've interviewed is that the big thing is the escape. Some will say that they have a trauma that triggered it, but others just say it's an escape. Tamara says no wedding day, no babies, no family gatherings that will ever feel right again. It's hard to picture a future once your kid dies. I'm a robot. Well, thank you for sharing, Tamara. I wish I had a good thing to tell you, but there isn't one. I can tell you that on our channel, there's a couple of stories that are devoted to helping people understand and deal with grief. There's two of them. One is called Grief Feels Like Crazy, and the other one is called Life After Loss. And we're probably due for making another another one. Brenda says, okay, here's the deal. When you're talking about street drugs, we are not thinking about reversal agents or much of anything else. We just want to escape our feelings. There you go. There you go. Brenda sums it up perfectly. Carla says, Taskmaster, that is so true. And Brenda says, Dawn, Mother's Day morning, bless your poor broken heart. I'm so sorry you experienced such an awful, life altering event. And Taskmaster says, yes, Glenn, both of those are true. I'm not sure what you're referring to. I know I should know, but uh, doesn't matter if what was taken was on purpose or by accident. Being able to reverse a life threatening coma is a powerful tool. For sure. And Deb says Tamara has never been the same since Brandon passed. I listened to my daughter that day as well. I lost my daughter that way as well. Well, Deb, I think you could probably spend a couple of hours talking to Brad about how far reaching such a loss goes. Josephine Rojas, what happened? It seems that a few years back, fentanyl was taken by accident in pill form. Now, lately, people are actually asking for fentanyl. Yeah, that's the thing. That when we started doing this series 3 years ago, most of the stories that we heard were from people who received a counterfeit pill. Now, more and more often, sorry, more and more often, we're hearing stories from people who actively sought out fentanyl. It has changed. So here's self. The Taskmaster says self-medicating to escape and also mediate feelings. That term, self-medicating, I feel like there's something wrong with that term. That it's sometimes somehow I don't know. It seems a little bit off that to say someone started self-medicating to use by using illicit drugs to escape. You could also say someone started using illicit drugs to escape. Self-medicating, I don't understand what that means. It isn't the results you get from the drugs isn't I don't know. Don says, thanks, Brenda. He was my oldest, made me a mama, and we did all the first. He's forever 24, would have been 30 this year. We were so close. And Tamara says, Don, Brandon was my oldest and also forever 24. I'm sorry for everyone here. Carla says, Rain passed away 2 years ago and it was a counterfeit pill. I told you before, but she even Googled what does generic Xanax look like. Yes, I remember that. I know that a lot of our stories, probably close to all of them, like 80% or so, maybe. But I'm really just guessing. But that's how it feels. That there's still a lot of stories coming in that are because of counterfeits, because the loved one believed there was something that it was something other than what it really was. But we are also hearing more and more from people who actively seek fentanyl. Joe, we have been here. We've been here a little over an hour, so it's probably about time to wrap it up for tonight. We will have another premiere on Wednesday. That'll be episode 299. And that episode, give me a second, I'll tell you. This episode, I believe, is from Florida. I'm pretty sure. Brenda says I was one of those who knew I was taking fentanyl from day one. What angers me is recently I saw these coffin parties. They legit take fentanyl to die. Wow. Carla is right. It's a blessing that you're still here with us, Brenda. And we're all glad you're here. Yeah. Yeah, Don, that I have heard is a thing where there is a goal to to be revived, to die and be revived with naloxone. That's that's the thing. Brenda says, there we go. Here we go. Brenda says, everyone, Brenda always reminds us all what you take for granted, someone else is praying for. I love that. What you take for granted, someone else is praying for. It's such an important message. It's such a powerful message that to remind people to be grateful. There's always something to be grateful for. And having gratitude makes whatever you have to do next or want to do next easier. Tamara says, thank you, Glenn, and thank you, everyone, for being here with me. Tamara, you're always welcome to join us for the next premiere and the one after that and the one after that and the one after that. But thank you very much for being here and thank you for sharing your story. So, we always like to remind people that we are here for you. You can reach out to us anytime. We are always we're always happy to do whatever we can to help. And remember, if you want to share your story, if you have a story that you want to share, you should be a part of our private Facebook group. Easiest way to do that is to email me, not email, no. Friend me on Facebook and then send me a Facebook instant message. Or if you know a storyteller, get the storyteller to invite you. Chances are, if you know one of our storytellers, they're in the group already and they can invite you. But reach out. We're here. We're not going anywhere. Taskmaster says to Tamara, thank you for blessing us with your son's life experience. You are a beacon of light. So we're going to wrap it up for tonight. But here's the usual Glenn. It's disgusting. Narcan can't always bring someone back from fentanyl. That's correct. It can, but not always. It has to be administered in time and there has to be not too much in the user's system. Here's another thing about Narcan, about naloxone, the drug in Narcan. The active ingredient in Narcan is called naloxone. It wears off. And it can wear off before the opioid that caused the overdose wears off. And they can relapse back into a possibly fatal situation. Naloxone, Narcan, wears off. That's such a big thing. That's why anytime someone is revived with naloxone, they need to go to the hospital. Even if they seem to feel fine, they need to be monitored at a hospital urgently. All right, so we are going to wrap it up. Thank you, Brad. Thank you, you the man. We are going to wrap it up for tonight. So I want you to remember you're always welcome to reach out to us by email at info@texas-pictures.com. You can find us on Facebook under my name, Glenn Muse, and you can also find Texas Pictures on Facebook with our own page for Texas Pictures. You can visit our website at texas-pictures.com, and on our website, you'll find a link to a page that will tell you how you can go about sharing your story. There's another link on our homepage that goes to our merchandise store where you can get t-shirts and coffee mugs and cool stuff like that. And you can learn more about Texas Pictures, like our mailing address, phone number, all that cool stuff. So I want to thank everyone again for joining us and I wish you all a good night and we will see you next time.